with everybody writing an open letter essay, and they were all so clever and creative and heartfelt, and we really enjoyed the experience. And I hope you enjoyed hearing everyone's. And you'll hear 7 more today, because at this point we are down to 7 finalists. And from this round, 2 will be selected to go on to the district level, with a 3rd as an alternate in case one of them cannot make it. And they will be judged today by our 3 judges, Ms. Simpson, Ms. White, and Ms. Philbrook. So we'd like to thank them also for joining us. Can we have a round of applause for our judges? We will hold off on applause for our contestants, so we could actually do a round of applause for them right now too. And then there's just one other thing. We have 3 virtual, so we'll watch those first, and then we'll have the 4 in-person speeches. There will be downtime in between each, because the judges have to look over their notes, circle some scores, and so I would ask that you're respectful and really quiet and give them that time that they need to make that process happen. And if you guys just want to make eye contact with me, I'll know when you're ready to send the next person up. I may send the next person up a little ahead of time so that they can just stand in the space. And so without further ado, we have Sebastian Cullen as one of our virtual ones.
Ms. Kelly, you're timing.
I am. These ones I don't have to, so remind me for the first in-person one not to.
Dear Ranger, why are you the one place I dream of each year, even though we've only met once? Why did I learn a completely new skill just to see you? And why'd you make me wait for the thrill of catching a fish, only for me to put it back? How is that you make me feel at home when we're together? Why am I relaxed when I'm with you? Yet somehow you managed to push me out of my comfort zone, push me past my proud limits. Rangeley, you have shown me new wonders to explore, new creatures to run across my mind. Rangeley, for you I'm great. Rangeley, how are you so good? I mean, come on. Your exquisite waterfalls flow down to your outstanding lakes, all connected by your one-of-a-kind rivers and streams. And even in a hurricane, you're more vibrant than the 1980s during the neon phase. At the gravel bank pool, you surround me with spruce trees and old white pines, making me feel as if they can touch the sky. Freezing spring water is up to my waist. Your warm spring air blows just out of reach. Rangeley River is warm, and it leads to your large Moose Maguntic and Cupsuptic lakes. It is full of fish. Brook trout, chubs, rainbow smelt, and landlocked salmon thrive in these lakes and streams. But not Pretend Bridge. You're a place that is unknown to a considerable amount of people. Heck, I can barely find it on a map. But maybe that's the reason you're the most ravishing. From the trees to the water, you truly outdo them all. Rangeley, oh sweet, beautiful Rangeley, you truly are something. Rangeley, you're a place to relax, and let the smooth sounds of running water and wind blowing through your valleys sweet me in peace. Those 30-mile dirt roads carry me away from negative thoughts or stress. Those, how are these even considered roads, are the anticipation of joy or something exciting, getting me pumped for what's to come. I was barely 14 when we met, and now I'm 15. This was a family tradition. Once a year, my dad and his childhood friend would spend Memorial Day weekend with me. Personally, I haven't been able to go because of my age, but I also didn't meet your requirements. I didn't understand your difficulty of fly fishing. It's not like normal fishing. It requires more skill than normal angling. I spent a whole year practicing, cast after cast, knot after knot. My timing was near perfection. The swampy marshes of Witch Hole was where this flawless roll cast came to life. All of this was just in place to me a new phase in my book of exploration. I was finally allowed to go to meet you, but that's not what matters. What matters is the effort. The effort is what counts towards the end goal. The end goal is only a reward after you work hard. Rangeley, you have pushed me past wherever I thought I could go. For that, I thank you. If something makes an impact on you, try to make a positive impact back on it. Don't let things that make you the happiest become once-in-a-lifetime opportunities. Don't sit on the sidelines of life. Don't be a benchmark. Don't wait for a chance. You have to go get it. Rangeley, you have pushed me past my comfort zone. Showed me new wonders to explore. So that, I thank you for changing me with your beauty and anticipation. Not only have you made me a better fisherman, but a better person. For that, I thank you. Okay, you have changed.
You guys need more time?
Yes.
All right. So next up is Graham Carter.
Dear society, why? What happened? Where did we go wrong? What did we do to turn an undoubtedly needed part of human existence into this? You have warped the way we view ourselves, each other, and the world around us so much, there is no way we can ever go back. You are the reason for so many of the major problems on Earth today. I blame you. You've created amazing things, but you've destroyed much, much more. And you've always seemed strange to me. I'm not trying to say I'm above you, because I'm not. I too have contributed to your flawed system. But you're a problem, and not one that can be fixed. If this pandemic, climate change, and politics have shown us anything, is that we are divided, majorly, and not even a world that works together could escape you. No one is safe from your all-consuming, ever-present, always adapting nature. No one is safe from you, society. Oh, society, how you've changed. I don't remember the days before, but I know they existed once. I know that the past is behind us, and a lot of very bad things have changed or are changing for the better. But at the same time, our world has changed for the worse. Our standards have changed for the worse. And you, society, has changed for the worse. And you're not the only one to blame for this. The internet has done bad things too. It's made it easier to judge, spread rumors and false information, and set expectations and standards far higher than they ever should be. Don't get me wrong, the internet has done bad things, but you, society, are the reason that it exists. Oh, society, the things you've done, the norms you've established, why? Because of you, most people don't even realize that they hurt the earth every day, because it's just normal. You've established normality with climate change, unnecessary hate, and unhealthy stereotypes. It's normal to judge. It's normal to be in pain. It's normal to hold yourself to a standard high above anything realistic. Imagine if there weren't stereotypes. Imagine if people could be who they want to be, who they are, and not what other people expect of them. Imagine what amazing things could have been accomplished if people didn't have to think about fitting in or being normal. There would be so much more creativity. Unfortunately, for everyone, that's not the case. Every day, so many people do things they don't want to do. They don't even realize they do, because that's just what's always happened. That's all it is. It's not good. It's just normal. Oh, society, you are complicated. Despite how much I've hated on you, you're necessary. You're needed. Without you, there would be chaos, no structure, no laws, just pure chaos. Everyone would do whatever they want. There would be nothing stopping them. Without a doubt, you, society, are absolutely necessary. But you've changed. You're the solution, but you're also the problem. There's nothing. You are the building blocks of human life, and we made you, but we can't undo that. And I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know. You've created amazing things, but you've destroyed much, much more. That's on you. Without a doubt, you, society, are needed. You're necessary. You're a part of human life that can never, ever go away. But you've changed us for the worse. You've forever altered the way we view our world. And you've destroyed precious things that will never, ever come back. I blame you. From Graham. That's it.
Our next speech is from Iowa Boatwright.
Anyone who can hear me. I hate people. I hate that we are ruining the earth. I hate how
Can we
much we
start
all dislike
again?
each other.
Wendell, we
I
missed
hate
her
the
greeting,
hurt
I
we
think.
cause. I
I'm
hate
sorry.
how much we only care about
Cut
ourselves.
out her
I hate
greeting.
the systems we created. I hate people.
Now I've
We are
interrupted.
the
I
cause of our
apologize.
own destruction. We chose our death the moment we decided we couldn't work
So
together.
I'm sorry I said something. I wish I could. I apologize.
Start over.
Anyone who can hear me. I hate people. I hate that we are ruining the earth. I hate how much we all dislike each other. I hate the hurt we cause. I hate how much we only care about ourselves. I hate the systems we created. I hate people. We are the cause of our own destruction. We chose our death the moment we decided we couldn't work together. Humankind seems to have a grudge against being a team, as there are too many wars to count and we still haven't
Can you start over again? It just started now, I'm sorry. Took a while to start.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So here's what we beginning.
Dear anyone who can hear me, I hate people. I hate that we are ruining the earth. I hate how much we all dislike each other. I hate the hurt we cause. I hate how we only care about ourselves. I hate the systems we created. I hate people. We are the cause of our own destruction. We chose our death the moment we decided we couldn't work together. Humankind seems to have a grudge against being a team, as there are too many wars to count, and we still haven't seemed to figure out that having a darker skin color doesn't make you inferior. I believe that our saving grace is teamwork, and that we can change the world just by being good listeners, working together, and loving each other to the best of our abilities. You may have heard of the terrible things we've done to our home, such as cutting down the once massive forests and basing our entire lives on oil. But right now, I want to talk about the terrible things we've done to each other. Over the past 13 years of my life, I have heard and seen a lot of hate surrounding everyone. The amount of dislike in our society is so large that we have become infused with hurt and despair and inflicted on ourselves and others. You must have heard the countless stories of sexual assault victims, gay teens, refugees, people of color, abused children, and so many others who have gone through so much. I know everyone here has something that has made them feel bad about themselves, just like them. Their pain was and is caused by people who would rather put misery onto others than create something wonderful. I believe that to be a good person, you need to be surrounded by love. If you have ever read the Harry Potter series, you know that Dumbledore tells Harry that his greatest weapon against Voldemort is Harry's ability to love. At the time, Harry doesn't listen and is confused and a little mad about the whole thing. Later, Harry realizes his love for his parents, his love for his friends, and his love for Hogwarts is his most powerful weapon against Voldemort. This instance is a great example of horrific things being confronted and destroyed by the power of love. As a whole species, we should maybe put a little more care into what we say and do and create a loving environment for everyone. Since I was younger, my parents had made sure that my brother and I understood the importance of nature. By going hiking and exploring the national parks wherever we lived, I was always surrounded by the beautiful woods and beaches created by Mother Nature. The same cannot be said for future generations. The idea that outdoors would be clouded by the destruction that was caused by their own families who just wanted to have the convenience of having a cheaper way out. My idea of the world is already skewed, and the hurt the children of my generation feel is almost unbearable to think about. Imagine your child coming up to you and showing you a picture of a tiger, stunning, exuding power. Then they ask you if they could see one someday, and you have to explain to them that every last one of them is gone, killed by the thoughtlessness corrupting ours and their future. Do you want your future grandchildren and kids to have to deal with that kind of stress? A recent study has concluded that more than 75% of teens and young adults are scared of the future for the sole reason of climate change. Your children's mental health is declining because of the harm we cause for our convenience. Maybe think about overall suffering instead of tiny nuisances. Over the years, society has begun to realize the wrongs we've written and started to undo them. In the United States, laws have been passed, amendments have been made, and racism, homophobia, and sexism have started to slowly ease away. While the fight against climate change and pollution is slow going, we are beginning to stop using fossil fuels and starting to try other things. Working together is effective. You can see the path of goodness trailing behind the group of people who have joined together to fight these injustices. And if everyone follows them, amazing things like closing the ozone layer over Antarctica might just happen. We can switch over to solar power, we can pick up our trash, we can teach our children to be their best self, but in the end, all of our problems will come back in different forms. We will always have challenges, but if we can learn to work together, be a team, we can always overcome the worst of it. Our greatest weapon against all of this is each other. Each and every one of us together can create the massive breakthrough we need to continue to take care of this beautiful planet in harmony. Sincerely, someone who thinks we can be better.
Do you need help, Mr. O'Connell? So next up, we have Finley Miller rushing. Is the microphone all set, please?
Over here.
Dear world leaders, why, when you speak of eternal economic growth, do you do nothing in regards to climate change? Imagine 100 years from now, people looking back on what you did and saying, that person did not do things right. I believe that to be an understatement. You let political disagreements go over what's right. You never thought that there might never be a future. You never fulfilled your promise to polar countries to help fix the climate change you made. I shouldn't even be writing this to you. If you had used your chances to fix climate change, we wouldn't be in this mess. It wouldn't be warming up, storms wouldn't be going crazy, and we wouldn't be heading towards the 6th mass extinction. Fixing the world won't be easy. The reason you've delayed is because of the extreme problems you would need to cause to fix it. But the delays you've caused have made it permanent, and if it gets any worse, we're going to be in big trouble. Imagine you are taking a vacation to the Great Barrier Reef. Every day you jump in the water. It's so cool and colorful, and there are plenty of plants and animals. Next day, you notice a small white patch on one of the pieces of coral, but don't really pay attention. The next day, more white patches, and more, and more, and more, and more, and more, and more. Pretty soon, by the end of your vacation, the entire reef looks dead. All of it is falling apart, and there are few fish. This results in the water warming up. This is called coral bleaching. Coral polyps are one of the many creatures endangered because of climate change. But from 1918 to 2018, the world climate has risen 1.5 degrees. Because of this, 2017 was the hottest year on record. By 2100, scientists expect the world to warm between 0.5 degrees to 8.6 degrees, according to National Geographic. You maybe think that's a tiny amount of heat. How could it affect anything? A little bit of heat can do quite a lot. Even a little bit of heat has already caused stronger storms and coral bleaching. In fact, a couple years ago, along with El Nino, it caused some of the worst hurricanes and other storms on record. One of the most common misconceptions is that CO2 is to blame. There are many other greenhouse gases that contribute to climate change. They come from many different sources. It's just CO2 is the most common one we emit. CO2 covers about 80% of greenhouse gases. Another 10% is methane. 7% is nitrous oxide, and fluorinated gases make up the other 3. You may be thinking, why can't we leave it up to the young generations to fix things? There's 2 things I have to say to that. First of all, there'll be a lot more to fix if we don't start fixing things now. Also, if scientists believe if we don't start fixing climate change now, we won't have a chance to in the future. I believe that climate change is the most pressing problem to the world today. Yes, there will be some sacrifices, but I believe they will be worth it. Otherwise, we might not have anything to sacrifice. By fixing climate change now, you are offering a chance for younger generations to have a better life and a chance of fixing climate change.
All set? All right, next up is Stevie Dunbar.
Dear people that don't participate in sports, trust me when I say sports will change your life, teach you, and make you happier. Over my lifespan, I've done sports from an early age. I was either dribbling basketball around the dining room or doing handstands over onto the couch. Sports have changed me, made me me. Each sport has taught me something different, and words can't express how thankful I am to the coaches and my teammates through the years. All of the friendships mean the world to me, even though life gets a little crazy rushing from one sport to another. I couldn't imagine myself not in sports. I'm the person I am today because of them. Little me did so many sports, and each taught me something different. I started with dance at the age of 2, which taught me balance from turns and ballet bar stretches. Gymnastics also taught me balance from the balance beams and tumbling. Soccer was the first sport that I was on a team, and it showed me what being on a team is all about. This, of course, helped with more sports to come. Golf taught me to persevere and take things slowly, because golf is definitely not a fast sport. Cross country also taught me to take things slow and pace yourself, because life is a marathon, not a sprint. Pace yourself accordingly, and be barefoot. After trying out all of those sports, none of them really seemed to stick, except basketball, cheering, and track. I'd basically done basketball my entire life and gave it up because I chose to do cheering instead. But I still always seem to come back to it. This year, I didn't choose one, I chose both. And even though rushing from basketball to cheering is a little hectic, I wouldn't change a thing. Through the years, they've both taught me the same thing. You can never give up. Because not every shot is going to go in, and not every tumbling pass or stunt is going to be perfect. If you run into a wall, don't turn around and give up. Figure out how to climb it, go through it, or work around it. Michael Jordan. Track taught me what a real love-hate relationship is. I love the feeling of excitement after you jump over the bar or high jump, sink into the mat, watching with the corner of your eye to see if the bar falls. Landing after hurdling over the last hurdle and sprinting across the finish line. Passing someone in the 200 and then sprinting even faster so they don't pass you. And then on to the next person, sprinting and thinking I can get them, they're right there. Those 8 words repeating in my head all the way up to the finish line. But all the momentum you have, you keep running for a couple more steps. The hate part is the practices that we run 3 to 5 miles, and I think this is why I'm not a distance runner. Still, even with the parts I don't like, I'm so grateful for the life lessons I learned from sports throughout the years. Sports are good for your mental health, mainly because they relieve stress. Even though sports may cause stress before a game or competition, once you're playing or performing, they help clear your mind. At least for me, and I bet other people would agree that when you're in the moment of the sport, you don't think about anything except what's going to happen next. Doing sports does not only relieve stress, they can also just make you happier. They also help with mental health. According to an article from WebMD called Benefits of Sports for Mental Health, reviewed by Dan Brennan, MD, participation in sports can also have long-term effects on your mental health. Researchers studied 9,688 children who had bad childhood experiences, such as physical and sexual abuse or emotional neglect. They found that those children who took part in team sports had better mental well-being when they were adults. Overall, sports make you happier, less stressed, and give you better mental health for a long period of time. Without a doubt, sports have made me who I am and a happier person. So now you should go try sport, even if you're scared you're going to fail. But you can't be afraid to fail. It's the only way to succeed. You're not going to succeed all the time, and I know that. LeBron James. I can't imagine my life without sports, and I believe everyone should have something that makes them this happy. For example, after I land a tumbling pass I've been working on or make the shot on the basketball court, I'm happier than ever. Sports don't just make you happy, they do so much for you. They teach you, keep you active, and make you a better, happier person. Sincerely, a happier Phoebe Dunbar.
Great, now we're ready for Lily Norwood.
Dear James Naismith, thanks for creating the best sport in the world, in my personal opinion. From the very beginning of the creation of basketball in 1891, a young athletic director tried to keep his students active during a New England storm. The usual sports that were played in the winter weren't as exciting as football and lacrosse, which were played in the warmer seasons. You wanted to create a game that was simple enough to learn, but complex enough to be interesting. You asked the janitor of the college to find square boxes as goals, but he came back with 2 peach baskets instead. As a result, basketball grew in popularity. You didn't make all the rules at once, though. You continued to modify and critique the game into what is now known as the 13 original rules. There are many reasons why I love basketball, reasons of socializing, family bonding, and why people learn to love this game. In the NBA, which has 30 teams, competition aspects are high all over the country. The NBA was founded on June 6, 1946 in New York. There are 11 original teams, but 4 of them dropped out in the first season. The 2 teams with the most NBA championships are the Boston Celtics and Los Angeles Lakers, with both teams with 17. These 2 teams have one of the most known world rivalries ever in NBA history. One of the biggest reasons I bought the Lakers was to beat the Celtics, Jerry Buss. Some of the greatest players played on these opposing teams, and everybody wanted to watch the Celtics and Lakers play. The rivalry between Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, Irvin Magic Johnson, and Larry Bird. But it wasn't just the NBA teams that people fell in love with. Basketball in the Olympics soon became a big hit. One of the greatest teams of all time, nicknamed the Dream Team, played in the '92 Olympics. Some people have said they were one of the greatest teams ever assembled. They were the first Olympic team that was comprised of professional players, not college kids. People who watched these teams became big fans of the NBA and soon fell in love with the game. Some of my greatest friends I have met were from basketball, travel teams, school teams, and AAU. We often play against each other on opposing teams. We talk before, during, and after the games. Last year, my AAU team went to Massachusetts. My dad had a Frisbee game called Can Jam, and we had a big tournament against each other, while also playing half-court knockout together in the late hours of the afternoon at the hotel. Basketball involves socializing on and off the court. One of the greatest duos of all time in NBA history was Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan. I didn't win without Scottie Pippen, and that's why I consider him my best teammate of all time, Michael Jordan. The Bulls won 3 consecutive championships between 1991 and 1993 and became the first team to win 3 straight titles since the Boston Celtics won 8 straight between 1959 and 1966. Socializing happens with almost every team, from being on the court to socializing off the court. Basketball has gotten me through a lot of the hardest times in my life. Some might say they don't bond over basketball. Well, it's not just basketball that can bond families. It can be any sport. My grandfather this year passed away on Thanksgiving. It was very hard for me and my family because he was a very big part of our lives. Most people could recognize him because he went to so many of mine and my sister's games. Some of the only ones he missed were this last fall when he was in the hospital, but he still watched it live. 2 days after he passed away, I had a basketball game. I didn't have my best game. After the game, my mom talked to me saying, "I know this is a hard time, but would BAM want you to quit basketball?" After that, I started results training. This is a place where I've smiled and laughed the most since he passed away. Basketball since then has become a therapy for me in a way. The basketball court felt like a safe space when I went to think about that Thanksgiving Day. I realize that not everybody will think that basketball is the best sport. There are many different sports in the world, but it influences my personal life in many positive ways. Socializing with other people, family bonding, and the love that people have for this game. Basketball isn't just about the bright lights, packed arenas, and highlight reels. Basketball is a way of life. Basketball is a relationship between you and the ball, you and your teammates. If you love the game, nobody can take that away from you. Michael Jordan. So I thank you again, James Naismith, for creating the best sport in the world. Sincerely, Lily.
And our final speech today is from Hayden Brophy.
Dear Americans, our mighty nation that once shone as a beacon of light for the entire globe to see has fallen ungracefully. Nobody in particular is to blame. It's instead our collective fault that America has fallen from grace. In the last decade, we have continued to make ourselves and our nation to the world's laughingstock, especially with things like the Capitol riots, with both sides acting completely inappropriate to the situation at hand. Our younger generations fighting for the rights of the oppressed is causing more struggle at the same time. If there is one thing that we should do quickly, it's that we need to change. Despite our differences, we must work together in order to reach what we truly desire, peace. But I shall ask you, the listener, a rhetorical question. Does peace truly exist? And if so, what is peace to you? The unfortunate reality is that in the history of mankind, a real state of peace has never existed, and probably never will. But there is justice. As time moves forward, justice has gotten harder and harder to avoid. As mankind advances, more criminals face justice. It is evident that people need to be constantly moving towards justice in more situations than ever. One of the most important things in our era is social justice. I think that it is vital for people to protest what they think is wrong. But if you think about it for a while, the reality makes us all forget about the expectations. In Minneapolis alone, over $500 million worth of property was destroyed during the protest over the death of George Floyd, who died after an officer of the law knelt on his neck for over 8 minutes. Floyd's death was completely unjustified, but if he saw what we the people did to honor his memory, would he be satisfied with how everything was handled? Was it really necessary to burn down buildings in the name of justice? What should have happened was only peaceful protests, no violence, no destruction, just peace. Are peace and justice both equally important? Well, of course they are. If one was more important than the other, the balance would be offset. But it can be said that the system is indeed flawed. The unfortunate reality is that terrible people who do terrible things and still get away scot-free. This harsh reality is an affront to both peace and justice everywhere. Finally, what should we do as a society in response to our problems? Firstly, we must forget our differences and see each other as equals. Then we would have nothing to disagree over. Then we should start to work together to try and fix our problems. Because if we don't, things will only get worse for Americans and people around the world. I shall leave you, the audience, with a warning. If we keep America going down the road that's on now, things will only get worse. Instead of this, we need to collect ourselves and start going on a better path so that we make things more optimal for all mankind. Sincerely, an American who cares.
All right, thanks again for coming, everyone, and let's have one last round of applause for all of you.
So Mrs. Dunbar's room will take Mrs. Dunbar's students and Mrs. Taylor's students, and Mr. Mako's and mine will come back up to my room, and we